Hello and welcome to this lecture. I'll be giving you a very brief tour of the XAMPP control panel. So let's open up the XAMPP control panel. So if you go to all programs, if you're in Windows, and then locate the XAMPP folder, if you expand the XAMPP folder, you should see the XAMPP control panel. So click on the control panel to launch. So this is what the control panel looks like. You may get an error. Okay, so normally when you try to launch XAMPP for the first time, there may be a conflict. So you may have other applications running on your computer that are using a specific port. The XAMPP, inside the XAMPP, we've got the Apache server. Apache is the main server that powers the PHP. So the Apache uses a special port called port 80. If there are other applications that have engaged that port, you'll experience some errors inside your console. So to avoid that, I'm going to give it a specific port number. So click on this option that says config, and then click on this Apache, this top one here. This is basically the configuration file. So click on the edit, click on find, just type in 80, which is the port number, and you can see here it has found an instance of 80. So what you need to do, you need to change that. If you do, this is only if you are experiencing the errors. Your port 80 may be free. Only do this if you have the errors and your port 80 is not free. So I'm going to add 8080 because I know no application uses that. All right, so it's going to listen on port 80. All right, so I've changed it there. Another area you need to change, type in server and press enter. So scroll down and you see the option for, sorry, not server, server name. Type in server name. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. All right, excellent. So here we've got server name, localhost. If you just put another 80 there, only do this if your port 80 is not free. So if you're getting these errors, so if you click on the X here, it will prompt you to save the file. Click save. So only do this if you're having some errors. So next thing I want to do is start the Apache server. So click on start, and if everything works out okay, you may get this prompt for your firewall. Click allow. The fact that I'm able to start this means that you can see here now it's not showing port 8080, which means the port I was the previous port 80 was engaged. So I've given it this port that I know it's free. You may get some other errors on the screen because we've got other components that were installed with XAMPP. MySQL basically is a database, so it's complaining here. You see this red line and saying that we've not configured it to listen for a specific port. So we can do that, but we don't really need MySQL at this moment. Here is saying problem detected. We've fixed the problem. It tells you here port 80 is in use. We've already fixed that. All right, so now the Apache are started. So let's test a sample application just to make sure that we've got our server working correctly. So anytime you want to use any of these features, you have to start them. So if you want to use MySQL, you got to start it. If I wanted to stop the Apache server, I'll click stop. It is the Apache server that will power the PHP. So this is my PHP server. So when you want to run PHP files, make sure the Apache server is running. So when you run PHP files, it runs from a certain location. If I click on this config file again, click on this top one, I'm going to show you where the files are being served from. So there is, okay, you can see here where it says document root. So the files are being served from this location. So when you launch your web browser and try to access a PHP file, it will be running it from this location inside this folder. Okay, and tells you here this is directly. You can obviously change the location if you're experienced with PHP, and you can change that, but I wouldn't recommend messing around with this file if you're not too sure what to do. This is mainly for experienced folks who know how to change stuff. I just wanted to show you where the files are being served from. So let me quickly show you where the XAMPP file was installed. So during the installation, mine went to XAMMP, okay, and the file that the web browser is going to look for to serve your PHP files is called the HT docs. This file here called HP docs. What you can do, you can just right click on this file if you want and just send it to your desktop as a shortcut, so that any PHP files you write, you have to place it inside this file, because this is where it is going to save it from. So how do you access a PHP file? So let's open up a web browser. So you open up your web browser and you type in localhost. Only type in a port number if you are not using port 80. Okay, so if my port 80 was free, I wouldn't need to type in 8080. 8080 is a special port. So this is the dashboard. If you can see this screen here, it means that your PHP server is working correctly. So that's it for this lecture on the quick tour of the XAMPP control panel. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.